What's going on, Star Wars fans? Welcome to Star Wars Doctrine's podcast, where we talk about just that, all of the doctrine involving Star Wars. Pretty much anything there is to talk about in the galaxy far, far away, I'm talking about it, so that's what it's all about. And if you enjoyed today's video and content, please like and subscribe so you can see more future Star Wars content. Once again, if you're new, Instagram and Facebook at Star Wars Doctrine, give us a follow, and that's where you can take part in all the discussions and all the posts and things we talk about here. They're all on there first, so give it a like. It's a lot of fun, and hope to see you guys on there. I'm super excited about this week, and like I am every week, just to talk about Star Wars with you guys. So got a lot of fun topics today, and let's check it out. First up on the list, pretty funny story with this post, because apparently I was in a hurry when I made it. Had a couple of typos and errors on there that you guys caught me on. But let me read this to you. It's all about Hondo and the Falcon in the new Star Wars Galaxy Edge's theme park. So there's been a lot of stuff surfacing about that in the past couple of weeks. Lots of news, lots of some official dates on when it's opening. But this was one of the coolest facts that I've found about it, and it's something that gets me really excited for what this is going to bring to canon. But here we go. It's in the Star Wars theme park. Hondo Ohnaka is in possession of the Millennium Falcon. The book Pirate's Price explains that Chewie left the Falcon with Hondo until he could return to Batuu, which is the planet that Galaxy's Edge takes place on. Batuu, to get it back. In exchange for getting the ship, or getting to use the ship, Hondo agreed to fix up the ship for Chewie and Han. So, first typo I'll point out, I did spell Millennium Falcon wrong. I was in a hurry, I guess, when I was making this post because I didn't catch that. And one other thing, I do apologize, guys. I try my best to be thorough and catch everything. Sometimes, though, just with day-to-day life, I get in a hurry and mess things up. So anyways, just forgive me, and I'll try to be better. But the second thing is a very good point that someone pointed out that I just hadn't thought about when I was making the post. I left at the end that he agreed to fix up the ship for Chewie and Han. Unfortunately, this does take place after Han's death, so it wouldn't be fixing up it for Chewie and Han. If anything, it would be either just for Chewie or maybe Chewie and Rey. But that's why in this book, Chewie leaves it with Hondo, because Chewie's the sole kind of owner of the Falcon right now, not Han, because he's passed away, unfortunately. So sorry about that as well. I did edit that in there and in the caption, and that way you guys were aware of that when I caught that. So like I said, I'll try and be better on my errors. I try to be as thorough as I can, but sometimes things slip my mind. So let's talk about this. Sorry. Very cool, because I think first of all, one of the things that's been announced with the new theme park is that everything in it's pretty much going to be canon. So the planet itself's worked its way into canon through quite a few novels, Pirate's Price being one of them, the Leia novel as well. I believe she stops at the cantina on Batuu and orders one of the drinks that you're actually going to be able to order when you go to visit at the theme park. So everything in it's going to be canon, in so much that they're going to have the Millennium Falcon ride there, which I just kind of thought, hey, it's a cool ride. And apparently Hondo is going to be there present on the adventure. And they have this really cool life-size, robot of him that's going to interact with the guests and stuff. So, but anyways, I thought it was interesting because when I first heard about that, I was like, well, why? It's kind of weird that it wouldn't be Chewie taking you on the adventure. And I didn't figure Disney would even bother explaining it. I figured, hey, it's just a ride. It's a theme park. It's a theme ride. So cool. But the fact that they're covering all their ground is really cool to me. They went ahead and put it into this book that it's canon, that the time period we're going to be experiencing when visiting the theme park is when Chewie dropped this off with Hondo for a little bit, and he runs this little business with the Falcon for a little bit while he's fixing it up. So the fact that they are covering their tracks to make this all canon is just super cool to me, and it tells me that they're going to pay attention to the details, which gets me very excited for the theme park itself. because it's just going to be Easter egg after Easter egg, finding just new bits and pieces of canon that are going to be so cool. I mean, everything in this is supposed to be in universe, so they're going to treat you like you're in the Star Wars universe and you're a part of the story, and the cast members there are all in universe part of the story, and everything you're doing, has a canon explanation. In fact, even like the merchandise you're buying there isn't actually labeled like, oh, Star Wars toy for the new movie. It's like explained as a toy creator in the galaxy is building these dolls after some stories she heard about Rey or about Luke, and so it's all like in universe, and just super cool that they're doing it that way. Or there's a lightsaber building shop, there's the cantina where you can order these drinks. All the food is like Star Wars themed stuff, so you're not going to order chicken breast, you're going to order like wampa meat or something. Anyways, just super cool that they're doing it that way. And I think on StarWars.com there is a list of like the menus and a lot of things that have come out this last week that's really interesting. So a lot of fun stuff with that. Makes me excited that they're going to fill in all the details and give us all the reasons behind everything. Pay attention to those details. That's important. So very cool on that. Moving on from that, second thing I want to talk about today is something that J.J. Abrams was reported saying on episode 9. Posted that there on Instagram a little bit ago. A picture of him and Mark Hamill there, which is cool. JJ was asked in this interview if The Last Jedi affected how he treated this film. And if you've been following the podcasts, I've stated many times that I believe that it has. I believe that for Disney and everyone involved, JJ, all the actors, everyone understands the backlash that was received from the fans from The Last Jedi. Whether you like it or not, I don't hate it. There's parts I like and love, and then there's parts I dislike and even hate. So I'm kind of both ways on it. So, but interesting enough, he denied that it really affected him at all. And the way he said it made me think he was just giving the traditional, like, avoid, really... He's obviously not going to sit there and bash on Rian Johnson. Like, Disney's not going to be okay with him doing that. So his answer to me was a very, passive, just good, smart business decision answer. And we know that's kind of how JJ is in general. He's pretty chill on stuff like that. He's not going to give you a whole lot. But he did say a couple things I like, so let me read it to you. His answer on if The Last Jedi affected it at all, he said, "No. I think that every movie is its own movie, and obviously this is a trilogy. We brought to that movie all the passion and hard work that we would have no matter what. So I think the story speaks for itself." And so to me, that's the right answer. You say, look, it wouldn't have mattered whether 8 was received well or not. We were still going to bring all the passion we had to this movie. So that's a great answer. Although to say, no, it didn't affect it, I think is just purely a business thing. I will say that I believe 100% that there's no way this movie and the direction they're taking and how they're treating it wasn't affected by episode 8. There's no way. Otherwise I think that's a mistake, because you have to look at the things that the fans didn't receive well. How can we maybe not necessarily fix them, but avoid doing that again? Like a lot of people are upset with Luke. There's no way you don't go, okay, well, let's make sure we don't make them more upset with Luke. Like, you have to look at it that way, and it would be dumb not to. So, like I said, purely business decision. He went on to be asked about how do you want fans to feel about episode 9, and he said there are a lot of words that we all hope that you feel. And obviously the biggest, most important one is satisfied. So really cool. J.J. Abrams says that he thinks we'll be satisfied. That's what he's aiming for. And that would be the perfect word I'm looking for as well as a fan. I'm sure you guys can relate. You just want satisfaction with how they end the Skywalker saga, the final film in this long journey of what Star Wars has always been for us. You got to feel satisfied. And if we're not satisfied coming out of it, it's going to be a rude awakening for Disney. It's just going to be hard, if I walk out of it unsatisfied, knowing that Skywalker saga ended with me unsatisfied, that's going to really suck. So I hope he's right, and like I've said before, I have faith in him. So hoping for something good. And next up on the list was a cool drawing that Dave Filoni did, kind of floating around the internet. And here, check it out. Really cool drawing of Sabine and Ahsoka. And I think the idea was just, it looks like they're out searching for probably Ezra, because we know that's where the Rebels left off. And looks like they're ascending some sort of staircase or something like that. Dave Filoni's just incredible, first of all. Like, love him to death. All Star Wars fans, we owe so much to him. He's awesome. So, and he's just a big Star Wars fan like the rest of us. Let me read you what he said along with this drawing that he posted. First of all, the drawing was because it's been a year since Rebels has the finale. It's like the year anniversary of that, which just feels crazy to think it's been that long. But this is what Dave Filoni said as he posted the drawing. He said, "Thank you all for sharing your memories of Star Wars Rebels. It was a wonderful show to make, and the entire crew is humbled by your outpouring of love and support with #RebelsRemembered. I tried to think of something to sketch for you all today, but I couldn't come up with something from the past, so I drew a possible future instead. It's always good to check in on old friends, don't you think? No, this is not a new show, just a drawing I did today for you, the greatest fans there are. Thank you." So Dave Filoni posted that. Pretty emotional there. And just to think about, like, these are his characters, and he's sitting there just imagining, like, what the future could be for them. And that's so cool. Like, he confirmed, okay, no, it's not a no show. And I'm very glad that he put that in there, because with how things get spread, that it would have been a big rumor about, oh, is this a potential thing that he's going to be doing? And I'm sure that if he didn't put that in there right now, I'd be talking with you guys about, is this something, we'd be speculating, right? Because that's what we do. So glad he put that in there, but very cool just to see maybe a take on what he thinks that was going on in the future here. So to me, that's cool, because it tells me, hey, in his head, they're still out there looking, and Ezra's still out there. So it's just kind of cool to think about that he's still thinking about that too. And hopefully eventually that'll get explored. I can't imagine it not getting explored. So only time will tell, though. One of our next posts we talked about this week is I posted a brief little question for you guys. It says, what were the lamest deaths in Star Wars? And you guys had lots of good comments, a lot of stuff that I expected. Wes_Dellins, Coleman Trevor was awesome because it showed Django being a bad A, which is, I wanted to share that one because I just thought it was surprising. I expected people to say how Coleman was such a bad death, because the internet kind of has this like big fandom for Coleman Trevor. And I always thought his death was kind of lame personally, but that's a very good point that he put, like, hey, instead of looking at it as, yeah, this Jedi got a bad death, maybe we look at it as, well, it was just showing how awesome Django was. But yeah, so lots of comments from you guys. The actual main point of this post was, so if you haven't realized yet, I'm not the only one who does Star Wars Doctrine. So there's like my voice, obviously the main voice, I'm the one doing these podcasts and stuff, but I have a good friend of mine who helps me with a lot of this stuff, and a lot of the discussions that come from just me and him talking. And we've been big Star Wars fans together ever since I can remember. So this has kind of been a co-shared thing for a little bit with us, and he wanted to make a video about what the lamest deaths in Star Wars were, because we'd been discussing it. So if you go ahead and check it out, if you haven't already, I know a lot of you guys have, there's a video on my channel here, and it's not my voice, it's his, talking about what he ranked as the lamest deaths in Star Wars. So if you haven't had a chance yet to check that video out, he did a really good job, and lots of cool clips in there just talking about what he and why. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree. Me and him had differences and opinions on a lot of them, but he just gives his reasons why, and I thought a lot of them were awesome, and it was really, really an interesting thing to watch. So I'm glad he made that, and if you guys haven't had a chance yet, definitely go check it out. So cool. All right, one of the daily doctrines I shared this past little bit is all about Ahsoka, and while she was in hiding. So there's an Ahsoka novel Obviously, we kind of got left hanging on what's going on with Ahsoka when Clone Wars ended, but thanks to like this Ahsoka novel, we got a lot of holes filled in, a lot of cool story stuff that was talked about. So if you haven't checked that book out, it might be something you'd be interested in, especially if you're a fan of Ahsoka's character like I am. I just love the development they gave her, so definitely worth checking out. There's some great golden nuggets in there, and definitely want to share some of those with you guys. But this one, and also one thing to say is very hopeful that Clone Wars Saved, the last season of Clone Wars, when that comes out at the end of this year, hopeful that will explore a lot of will lead up into this novel a little bit and explore a lot of the things that we didn't get to see on screen with Ahsoka. So here it is. While in hiding, after the Great Jedi Purge, Ahsoka Tano took on the fake name Ashla. This name came from George Lucas's early ideas in which Ashla was another name for the light side of the Force. So this was one of the cooler doctrines I think I've shared in a while that just caught me, like, I don't know, it just felt like so cool to make that connection. So in the book, she needs an alias. Obviously, she can't be going around saying her name's Ahsoka, so she takes on the name Ashla, which in Clone Wars itself actually has a pretty big, talking about the Ashla being the name of the light side of the Force, which all goes back to George Lucas's original ideas when he actually had a name for the light side of the Force, and it was going to be called Ashla. So obviously it doesn't really appear in the movies, but just kind of cool to see the little connections that you make from some of George's original ideas. I've talked a lot about the wills of the Force and how they're making appearances now, and be interesting to see what they do with that. But just to realize that, like, okay, George originally had this idea that Ashla was going to be the name, and then later on they bring it into canon. Like, those little things are the things that Disney's doing right. Definitely paying like homage, like tribute to George in small ways like that. So that's very cool. Obviously, we can cling to little things like that for hope of how they're gonna, treat the rest of the franchise, and a lot of the legend stuff that we love coming to the light this way is really cool. So just wanted to share that with you guys real quick. And then one more fun little Ahsoka fact too that we shared was another daily doctrine here. So Rex and Ahsoka made fake graves for themselves in order to make it seem like they died from the events of Order 66. Ahsoka also left her green and yellow lightsabers to make it more convincing. So I know there's a couple of you guys who are confused by this, but this is something that it goes into more detail in the book. So it's definitely a canon thing. I try not to share anything, guys, unless it's confirmed, just so you know. So get a lot of comments sometimes of people who are like, no, that's not right, or I don't remember that. And I don't take offense to that. I just, like, sometimes I don't want to come off condescending, like, okay, this is my source and this is why you're wrong. But just so you know, if I ever am wrong, I'll definitely like listen and look into it more, and we'll try and figure it out. That's what it's all about, discussions. But I will say 90% of the time, 100% of the time I check my sources, and before I post something, make sure that that's, canon. Like I said, every once in a while, I will make a mess up like anyone else, but had a couple comments of people who didn't agree with this, but it is in the novel. You can definitely go check it out. I know, like I said, with Clone Wars and the way it ended, we kind of had these gaps. But so this happens. Rex gets his chip removed. If Order 66, there's these chips in all the clones that would basically make them follow Order 66. Well, Rex is able to get his removed, and some other clones do as well. And so he doesn't turn on his Jedi. He's serving with Ahsoka on Mandalore at the time, and so they make these fake graves for themselves to make it look like they died, because they realize, like, hey, if they know we're out there, then they're going to come looking for us. So Ahsoka even leaves her lightsabers behind. One other thing to talk about too is I put in there the green and yellow lightsabers. The yellow lightsaber I'm referring to is her Shoto lightsaber. It's the short one that she uses. And if you look through a lot of pictures, it very much appears that one's green and one's yellow. There's kind of a debate that it's actually just a lighter green that one is, And I've always looked at it as yellow, but maybe that's just what my eyes see. But I do know that Dave Filoni said he originally intended it for it to just be 2 green ones. And I just never got that, I guess, because I'm like, well, then why wouldn't you just make them the same green colors? Like, since when has lightsabers had different shades? You know what I'm saying? But, if Filoni said it, then that's what he was going for. But to me, it definitely looks yellow, so that's why I put that. But technically, if you want to say green lightsabers, that's fine too. So anyways, very cool. Thought it was a fun little fact that they did that, and that's when she goes into hiding and actually takes on the fake name of Ashla. So obviously we see that Rex pops up later on in Rebels as an older guy, and we know it's been confirmed too that he survived and actually was with the rebellion all the way up until the Battle of Endor and Return of the Jedi. He actually fought in it, so really cool. I love all the fun connections like that. So another fun post this past bit was with it being International Women's Day. Did a post on who were your favorite women in the Star Wars universe, because there are some incredible women in the Star Wars universe who do some incredible things, and they really make the entire story come together. So it was really fun to see what a lot of you guys said on this. I posted a picture that showed Leia, Jyn, Rey, Padme, Ahsoka, and Shmi Skywalker. But obviously that was just a couple examples. A lot of you guys came up with some other ones too. Hera and Sabine would have been great. Awesome people I could have put up there. So very cool. For me, I think, I don't know who I'd choose as my favorite, but probably Padme. I think that she's just incredible. She really, she was a warrior, but also very strong political stance that people looked up to. Being a queen at such a young age, I just think that she's probably my favorite. I really do love the character development of Ahsoka, because she gets, obviously, the entirety of Clone Wars to develop, which you don't really get that with just the characters who are only in the movies. Yes, Padme's in Clone Wars and stuff too, but you just see so much more of Ahsoka that you get to grow with her. And seeing the snippy little youngling that she is grow into this person who actually is wiser than a lot of the Jedi who fell victim to the politics and all the stuff. She walks away from the Order and probably becomes wiser than she ever was when she was with the Order, because she listens to the Force more so than the Council and all the twisted stuff that ended up being their downfall. So to see that development in her, and then when she becomes Fulcrum in Rebels and is helping the rebellion, and it's just a really cool arc to me that definitely puts her up there for me. So those would probably be my top 2, but that's not discrediting Leia, because she's the original, hero who's bossing the men around and leading the rebellion. And, that kind of leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Last but not least was this post. I have another Star Wars Edit Hub picture. He does a lot of cool edits. Check him out. Cool guy. But I posted one of his edits and said, would you have liked to see Leia become a Jedi? If you're familiar with Legends, you know that George Lucas had a lot of intentions for that. Leia was going to become a Jedi. And actually, Yoda, obviously we see in episode 6 that Yoda wanted to train Leia instead of Luke. And that's actually confirmed through novels and stuff. It's canon that Yoda really felt like Leia would be the one to bring the balance back to the Force, not Luke. So pretty cool. Yoda obviously saw a lot of potential in her, and he's rarely wrong. So I imagine she would have been quite a powerful Jedi. But in Legends, she was, and obviously we didn't get to see that except for, the space scene, which many people loved and many people hated. I'm not sure where I fall in that. I think it was still kind of weird to see her flying through space in The Last Jedi, but she obviously was powerful with the Force, and maybe she trained a little bit to get that powerful, but obviously not a lightsaber wielding person. She stuck more to the politics and the, being a general. And as far as for me, a lot of you guys, it was torn. Like I had a ton of people saying, yes, that was amazing. And I think she should be. And a lot of people saying, no, that would have been terrible. For me, I like her as a general, honestly. Like, it would be really cool to see her as a Jedi. I could go either way, but I'm not going to complain about her as a general because she is really awesome leading the rebellion and the resistance, and just how everyone looks up to her and just regards her as this hero. To me, that's something that they needed, and to have it not be a Jedi, I think is actually really cool. So for me, like I said, it could go either way, but I'm good with how it is. So, well, I think that's going to wrap us up for this week, guys. I enjoyed talking about Star Wars with you guys, and I look forward to next week already because there's going to be some good stuff coming up too. I'm excited for you guys to see some of the posts we have coming up. And once again, if you're new, please go to Instagram and Facebook, like and subscribe and all of that, because there's good stuff coming. And obviously, the more and more Star Wars news that's happening, we're going to keep you updated. And the more closer we get to episode 9 and to Disney Plus and The Mandalorian and all Star Wars Celebration, there's just going to be so much more to talk about. And I can't even tell you guys how excited I am with each passing day. So thanks for listening, guys. And I hope you have a great week. May the Force be with you as always. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because
it is your destiny.